With creative animation, relatable characters, and hilarious scenes, Bocchi the Rock has cemented itself as an all-time great anime. It's also an anime with plenty of references that you may have missed, so stick around while we go over the various references in Bocchi the Rock. It's kind of obvious that this anime loves to reference music, but in particular, did you know that the band it homages the most is a Japanese rock group called Asian Kung Fu Generation? The last names of the 4 members of this band are Goto, Yamada, Ijichi, and Kita, the exact same as our protagonists in Bocchi the Rock. Anime fans may be familiar with some of their work already. They're the ones who performed Bleach's 7th OP. A less subtle music reference is in the Goto family's pet dog. It doesn't come up often, but the dog's name is Jimihin, which is a reference to the legendary rock guitarist Jimi Hendrix. He gets an even more direct reference in the final episode when Bocchi's father talks about some guitars that are designed to be destroyed. It briefly shows a silhouette referencing a famous incident where Hendrix burned his guitar on stage. Do you recall from the final episode where Bocchi's guitar string breaks but she manages to improvise? Believe it or not, this may be a reference to something very similar that happened in 2016 to guitarist Guthrie Govan, where a guitar string snapped but he managed to make a smooth recovery. We can't actually confirm if this is an intentional reference, but it's still cool to see something that looks unbelievable can happen in real life. The manga for Bocchi the Rock is full of even more references. The beginning of every chapter includes an illustration at the start of Bocchi and the other members of Kesoku Band reenacting moments from various music videos by Japanese bands. This even started a trend on Twitter where fan artists would draw the members of Kesoku Band recreating various album covers. Another cool thing are some of the more subtle references throughout the anime. For example, in episode 1, we see Bocchi trying to get attention by wearing lots of band merch. Among these is merch for fictional bands Super Fever and the Zero Magnons, which are parodies of real-life Japanese rock bands Super Beaver and the Cro-Magnons. It's not just these either. Pretty much every poster we see inside Nijika's Sisters Club is a reference to a Japanese band. A more direct reference comes in episode 11 when Ryo talks about using Bocchi's looks to get a bigger audience. One of her weird ideas involves wrapping Bocchi up in black tape and making her play guitar by the beach. This was a reference to Japanese rock star TM Revolution and his music video for the song Hot Limit, where he did exactly that. Like with Asian Kung Fu Generation, TM Revolution may be best known outside of Japan for his anime songs, such as Soul Eater's first opening. Speaking of Asian Kung Fu Generation, they seem to be the band that the anime likes to reference the most. A lot of the episodes are named after songs by them, such as After Dark and Morning Light Falls on You. In fact, the final ending theme was a cover of Morning Light Falls on You performed by Kesoku Band, which we think is super cool. The first episode of the anime is also titled Lonely Rolling Bocchi, which may be a reference to the Asian Kung Fu Generation Rolling Stone or the mega famous rock band The Rolling Stones. It makes sense. The name of the anime is Bocchi the Rock, after all. Of course, both of those names are derived from the old saying, no moss grows on a rolling stone, which can be related to Bocchi's poor social situation and how she has trouble growing connections with people. Another Japanese rock reference is during one of Bocchi's many fantasies. In this one, she imagines herself with wings and playing a guitar that also has wings. This may be a reference to Japanese rock group The Alfie, who in real life really does perform with a winged guitar. Clearly, they've got a flair for the dramatic. There are also plenty of Western musical references in Bocchi the Rock too. For example, when Bocchi tries to act extroverted, she imagines herself reenacting John Travolta's famous disco dancing scene from the movie Saturday Night Fever. She's got some pretty good moves too. We also see Bocchi wearing heart-shaped sunglasses in this scene. And later, when she invites Kita and Nijika over to her house, she wears star-shaped sunglasses. These both may be a reference to the musician Elton John, who usually wears colorful sunglasses while performing. Another fun music reference is the scene where Ryo convinces Kita and Bocchi to wear matching suits and wear mop-top wigs. This is a reference on 2 levels. The reference that may be more obvious to Western fans is, of course, to the Beatles. In their early years, the Beatles all had matching mop-top cuts and identical suits as part of their brand. The second reference is a more Japan-specific one. Apparently, mop-top haircuts are somewhat trendy for young men in Japan's music scene. So this is sort of an in-joke about Ryo trying to get the others to act more like stereotypical hip musicians, which we think is hilarious. Speaking of references, music isn't the only thing that Bocchi pays homage to. There are plenty of anime references throughout the show, for example. Some are pretty obvious, like in episode 9 where Bocchi falls over a crater after being attacked by birds. Dragon Ball fans may recognize the pose as the infamous Yamcha death pose, which is a huge meme within the DBZ fandom. Episode 8 in particular has a rapid-fire series of cool anime references. First is after Bocchi is exhausted after the band's first performance, we see her slouched over in a chair and colored in white. This is the reference to the ending of iconic boxing anime Ashita no Joe. It ends with the titular Joe Yabuki in the exact same pose. This is actually a pretty popular reference and pops up in a lot of anime. It's one of those things you start to notice everywhere once you know what it's a reference to. Right after this, angel versions of Bocchi's microphone and guitar descend down and say congratulations to Bocchi. This is of course a reference to another famous anime ending, specifically Neon Genesis Evangelion. We'd be here all day if we tried to explain Evangelion's ending, but all you've got to know is that the original anime ends with everyone congratulating Shinji. It references Evangelion again in a later episode when Bocchi wakes up in the school infirmary and says an unfamiliar ceiling. Another neat thing is that the angels descending while Bocchi looks dead might be a reference to the British children's book A Dog of Flanders. Despite being written in England and set in Belgium, this book is surprisingly popular in Japan for some reason. In fact, Bocchi is specifically referencing the 1975 anime version of A Dog of Flanders. Episode 11 references another classic anime as well. The two delinquents that show up at the Maid Cafe look like they're modeled after the various outlaws from Fist of the North Star. The reference is even more obvious in the manga, where the delinquents are drawn in the exact same art style as the North Star manga. One reference that we thought was really cool was in episode 7, where Nijika tries to move Bocchi's bangs and she turns into ashes. During this scene, the song that plays is actually the song Requiem from the movie Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind. It's a super classic anime and the first original movie by legendary anime director Hayao Miyazaki. This show really loves paying its respects to the classics. That's enough about Bocchi referencing other anime for now. Did you know that Bocchi actually had a cameo in a different anime before this one came out? Back in 2022's winter anime season, there was an anime about fishing called Slow Loop. And in Slow Loop's 10th episode, we see Bocchi and her friends performing at a festival. You can even see Bocchi's two fans waving to her. The creative team for Bocchi the Rock returned the favor in episode 10 of their own show. When Kikuri's bandmate Eliza pulls out her phone, we can see keychain decorations featuring Hiyori and Koharu from Slow Loop. The reason both series reference each other is probably because they both ran in the same magazine, Manga Time Kirara. Another character from a Manga Time Kirara series also made a cameo in Bocchi's 10th episode. When Bocchi wakes up from her dream of being a rock star, she's seated next to a girl with an X-shaped decoration in her hair. This is a reference to the character Yuno from the series Hidamari Sketch. Back in the early 2000s, Hidamari Sketch, Lucky Star, and several other anime are what really brought the moe trend into full swing. One last manga from Manga Time Kirara that was referenced was K-On!, which of course is natural since both series involve music. Specifically, Rio mentions how she loves anime where all the characters jump into the air at the same time, which of course happens in the K-On! Intro. This anime is also sometimes compared to Fooly Cooly, an anime known for its rock and roll soundtrack. Plus, both of them feature a pink-haired girl playing a string instrument in the lead role. Although Bocchi's introverted personality is the complete opposite of Haruko's, there's even a direct reference to Fooly Cooly when we get to a scene of Bocchi running down the hallway, similar to a scene of Haruko doing the same thing in Fooly Cooly's 3rd episode. The band that did Fooly Cooly's soundtrack, The Pillows, was also referenced in one of the manga's cover pages. Bocchi the Rock also liked to reference several real-life brands. An obvious example would be the energy drinks Nijika and Rio buy in episode 3, which are Mofsters brand energy drinks, a parody of the real-life Monster energy drink brand. One product we were surprised to learn was based off a real thing are the juice boxes full of sake that we see Kikuri drinking. It may seem like a silly visual gag at first, but no, these are actually based on an actual brand called Onikoroshi that really does come in juice boxes. They both even have the same little devil mascot on them. Yet another reference to highlight is a really strange one. Remember that scene where Bocchi becomes a low poly 3D model and crashes into a bunch of shapes? Well, that might just be a reference to the PlayStation 4 trailer for Undertale, where the character Toriel does the exact same thing. This wasn't in the manga, so clearly someone on the writing staff likes Undertale. So yeah, both the original mangaka and the anime writers both love to make references, and we're all very happy for it. It's just part of what makes Bocchi the Rock lots of fun. But what do you think? Which of these references is your favorite?